Zsuzsanna Szelényi. I'm a member of the Hungarian Parliament. Well, what Europe faces as a security threat is the big question of today, because we all in Europe feel different threats. So we hear the most of the terrorism, which is there in Europe, but it's not specifically important in Central and Eastern Europe. So we do not feel that the Islamic threat is the most critical. What we feel most problematic is definitely the Russian threat. This comes from our history and our political experience. We have to be around, and Russia is obviously more aggressive and assertive than a couple of dozens of years ago. But there are other threats. There are threats coming from the climate change, demographic challenge. We may not feel it as such a big challenge, but it is a challenge, and obviously we have to cope with. So one important issue and important task for the European countries to make a common understanding of our threat and optimize our tools, policy tools, to counter these threats. This is one of, I think, a big topic of this meeting here today. Well, there's a big discussion of what should be done, and I think there are plenty of things to do, and some of them are very positive. First of all, we have to have a political understanding of what is a threat. We definitely live more threatening environment than we had like 20, 30 years ago. So the first issue is a political understanding. The second one is the classical terms threat rejection. We have to make our defense capabilities stronger. So far, after the regime change, we put our security into the hand of NATO, which is still very important for us. But we can see from the changes of the European-American relations, the transatlantic relations, that it's changing its nature. NATO is working globally, and Europe should obviously develop its own defense capabilities. I think that this should be harmonized with NATO, so that we don't do something completely different. NATO is important for us, but it's pretty sure that Europe should equip itself with something which is more our own. Well, the Warsaw Security Forum is very important. I think in Central and Eastern Europe there are need to such kind of get-togethers. I deeply believe that we have a lot of common things to discuss and share, because whether we want, whether we like, we do share a common history, and we understand each other better than others. And when we are in critical political times and critical historic time, it just makes a lot of sense that we talk to each other.